I remember Gaslight Anthem 59 Sound comes out, and that was one of those records that I'll never forget making that record. And when I say making it, I was just going in the studio, hearing it. I always remember that is Brian Fallon was the only artist I've ever worked with that played me the demos to that record in the order that they would be on the record. Generally, someone will play you some songs and be like, hey man, check it out. Like I have these 12 songs and you're like, okay. And while you're listening to the demos, you're like, yeah, that's not going to make the record. Okay, cool. No, he was like, these are the amount of songs that are going to be on the record. And this is the order that they'll be on the record. And you know, I'd been making records at this point for a long time. And I didn't say this to him, but like, I'm like, dude, you know, that's not ever going to happen. You know, you'll record the songs and then what you think is going to be the opening track isn't going to be the opening track. It's not going to end with that, whatever. If you want to think that, knock yourself out. And when they went in and made the record and played me the final mix, like, hey, we want you to come down to the studio. I'd been hearing them make the record because they stayed in LA while they made it. They literally played me in the order that Brian said. I'll never forget it. I was like, how did he do that? Like, that is just insane. And the record came out in the order that he had wanted it from the inception of it just coming together, like writing the songs. And it was weird too, because he wrote songs while he was there. So how did he know where they were going to fit on the record? I just had never worked with a dude that was that focused. Brian was always writing, never not in the zone. Because it was their first, they had done records before, but this was like their first record with us. And I feel like their first record, they felt a lot of people would be able to listen to. The record comes out, and right away, I'll never forget, it just starts getting great reviews. People start talking about it. And you're like, wow, this could go. This is really starting to go in the right direction. And within months, within literally 3-4 months after the release of the record, we just started seeing things happen for the band that generally took bands a year, maybe 2 years. Even the venues they were playing just started to get bigger and bigger. I want to say that like they came through at one point and they were opening for like Rise Against or something at the Palladium, and then they came back and headlined even a bigger venue, and we were just like, you couldn't stop. It was like a fire. The record just exploded. About a year into it, they get invited to do London Calling, and it's a huge 2-day show over in London. And I remember I forgot who opened, but it was Gaslight Anthem, and then I want to say like Dave Matthews Band maybe, and then Springsteen, like, massive lineup, right? And I say to Bill, I go, dude, we got to go over there. We got to go. And at that point, the only reason I knew anything about Bruce Springsteen was because of Bill at Side One. Like, I always was like, dude, Springsteen's lame. Like, I was a punker. He was like, hey man, I'm just going to tell you right now, like, it sounds really ignorant when you say that you don't like Dylan and that you don't like Springsteen. I know you like a lot of music, but you can't say that you don't like those artists unless you truly have spent some time with them. And I remember he made me watch Don't Look Back with Dylan, and he's like, is that punk rock? I'm like, dude, that is so punk rock. I don't care who threw the bottle. I just want to know who threw the bottle. Like, so rad. And then with Springsteen, he goes, dude, I know, Born in the USA, all that stuff. He goes, dude, just listen to this. And he gives me Nebraska on a cassette. And I remember I was driving up to Santa Cruz in my Volkswagen Bug, and I remember I listened to it when I got to Santa Cruz. I'm like, oh my God, dude, I am so stupid. This is insane. So by this point now, Bill and I are both fans of Springsteen. And I talked Bill into going. I was like, dude, we've been doing this label for as long as we have. This is the perk of what we're doing. We have to go over there. And he was like, you know what, you're right. So we fly over there. And I remember we get a hotel right across the street from Hyde Park. And we can hear the night before Neil Young playing. And we're sitting in our hotel room just listening to Neil Young. And all the other festivals that were going on, Gaslight Anthem was playing at those festivals. So every night you'd sit in your hotel room as they made their way to Hyde Park. You would watch them, on TV playing these live sets. And the night before, Springsteen comes out and plays with Brian. And we're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, Springsteen played with Brian and them on their stage at this festival. And everyone's talking about it in London. Like, oh, that's great. I remember we go to the record company the day before the Hyde Park show, and they're over with the label that is, that we are working with in London for Gaslight Anthem. And we're sitting there and they're having this big meeting and it's Side One Dummy and them, and we're all hanging out and they're going around the table going, oh, I mean, this is amazing. Bruce came out and he played with Brian. I mean, it's going to add new love into the record. I mean, it's going to give them a whole new energy to this record. Like, it's not done yet. And then I just, out of nowhere, just kind of for the hell of it, I go, yeah, I mean, it's cool that Bruce came out with them. It'd be super cool if Brian came out with them, though. I mean, wouldn't that be great if, Springsteen's playing and he brings Brian out, and everyone laughed like, oh God, Bruce isn't going to do that. Like, Bruce joins the other band. We go to Hyde Park that day, and from the moment we get there, Gaslight Anthem's there, and they're so stoked to see Bill and I, because it was like a victory lap, like, dude, what's up? And they got this big trailer, and we're just going, oh my God, look at how far, you guys have come, and here you are. And as we're there, they go out and they murder that day. Like, just, like, I don't even know how many thousands and thousands of people at Hyde Park for Gaslight Anthem. And Brian just kills it. And then we go back and we're in the trailer and Brian comes over and he goes, dude, you're not going to believe this. Bruce just hit me up. He wants me to come out and do No Surrender with them. And Bill goes, are you kidding? What? He goes, yeah, I'm going over to his trailer right now to go over it with him. And he goes, he goes, you guys got to come. But there was only room for, like, we're in this little thing. And I just look at Bill. I go, dude, you have to go. And Bill, he's a Springsteen fanatic. He goes, all right. And he just gets in this little car and they drive over. Brian has his guitar and he goes over there and he goes into Bruce's thing. And it's just Bruce, Brian, and Bill watching, him go over No Surrender together. And he comes back and Bill just goes, dude, I can't believe, like, I remember he goes, thank you so much for making me come here. I didn't think, because Bill hates traveling. He's like, thank you so much, man. Springsteen hits the stage at Hyde Park. And I want to say, like, easily 60,000 people. It was insane. And I remember that day they opened up with London Calling, and I remember Mick Jones was there from The Clash. He's in a suit. And I'm like, no way. I remember I was standing there watching Springsteen play and I'm like, dude, who's on my shoulder? It's Richie Sambora from Bon Jovi. I'm like, dude, no way. Brian comes up and he's like getting ready, and then you can watch it. You can watch it on YouTube, Google it. He says, hey, where's Brian? I'm going to have a friend come out, Brian from Gaslight Anthem. And I'll never forget, Brian comes running out on stage and they go into No Surrender. Brian just digs into it on that track so hard. There's no uncertainty. There's no wavering. The confidence is there. And as he's digging into the track, I remember just watching him and at that same point, just knowing, like, that dude has it. And I heard later on, after the show, the sound man was talking to some people in it. I kind of heard people talking, and the guy said, we have a lot of people that come up on stage here and there. Bruce will invite a friend out to sing, or someone that, another musician. And because it's Bruce, and because it's, you're singing with the boss, a lot of times these great singers, they kind of can't, they're not hitting it as hard because they're nervous. Because this is the first time ever that we had to bring back the guest vocal. Brian was hitting it so hard, we had to bring it back. He was so, had the tone, he was in the zone, that they had to pull it back so that it wasn't so overbearing. And Brian just delivered it. So for two dudes that started a record company with $5,000, a fax machine, and just a dream of, like, we're going to sign bands to go full circle and to be sitting there watching an artist that we both loved. And because, Bill turned me on to him, it was a full circle moment. We thought the record was over and it just catapulted it. It was one of those moments you could have never, ever have planned for that. You can have all the meetings, all the marketing meetings, all the publicity meetings, and you can never go, hey, yeah, and at some point, Bruce will invite the singer out at Hyde Park to sing No Surrender. Okay, put that down. Like, you couldn't have planned for anything like that. And then that night, when we're at the after party at the venue, Mick Jones is there. And they're huge Clash fans. And I see Mick. I go, no way, Mick, what's up? He's like, hey, I gotta go get the guys from Gaslight. They want to meet you. And he's like, all right. So he's just standing there. He has a drink in his hand, a little suit on, the tie and everything. Hey, okay. So I run and go get the Gaslight Anthem guys, and they all come over. And I go, hey, guys, Mick Jones, meet Gaslight Anthem. Gaslight Anthem, meet Mick Jones. He's like, hey, how you doing? Great job. He's talking to them. And then they all just went. They couldn't talk. And then Mick goes, all right, just walks away. Like, all right, what's wrong with these guys?